A long, long time ago,
The R&B legends who were written off then shocked everyone with a comeback. 12 R&B legends the industry decided were finished.
She's telling me about the thing that a girlfriend's got.
I want to be precise about that word. Not slowing down, not aging out. Finished, files closed, contracts not renewed. Names removed from the list of people worth calling, and then every single one of them came back, and in several cases came back bigger than they had ever been before. This is not a list about luck. This is a list about what the industry gets wrong, and what it costs the people it gets wrong about.
Lonely days are over.
12. Howard Tate.
On my doorstep, telling me.
Before I tell you where Howard Tate ended up, I need to tell you what he sounded like, because that is the part that makes the rest of it hurt.
Ain't nobody home. No.
Born in Macon, Georgia, in 1939, son of a Baptist minister, raised in Philadelphia.
One a time when you went on your way.
He sang with a gospel-inflected phrasing that put him in the R&B top 20 in the late 60s with Ain't Nobody Home, Look at Granny Run Run, and Stop, all produced by Jerry Ragavoy.
You laughed at me and said, let me alone.
When Ain't Nobody Home hit the R&B chart in August of 1966, Howard was mixing mortar on a Philadelphia construction site. They put him on a plane to Detroit in his work clothes to open for Marvin Gaye.
Beg me to forgive you, but this time.
And he wrote a song called Get It While You Can. Janis Joplin took it and made it a signature. Most people who love that song have never said Howard Tate's name out loud.
Baby, you turn to pay.
And then he stopped. He recorded a single for Epic, a few songs for his own label, and retired from the music industry in the late 1970s.
Ain't nobody home. Girl, like
he sold securities around New Jersey and Philadelphia. That is where the story is supposed to end. It doesn't.
to love you. Please, no one else.
In the 1980s, his 13-year-old daughter died in a house fire. He developed a drug habit and ended up living in a homeless shelter.
On my doorstep, telling me.
Associates in the business assumed he had left permanently. One writer put it plainly years later, the man had been left for dead, and not only figuratively.
Ain't nobody home. No.
And then, in the mid-1990s, he began counseling drug users and people with mental illness. He worked as a preacher. No record deal, no comeback plan, just a man rebuilding a life in a town where nobody knew what his voice used to do.
Ain't nobody home. Nobody.
Then a disc jockey from Camden, New Jersey, named Phil Kasdan found out where he was. That was early 2001. That spring, Howard Tate played his first date in years in New Orleans.
Ain't nobody home. Girl.
Here is the part I need you to hold. Everyone expected the voice to be gone. Decades of disuse, decades of worse. It wasn't.
Ain't nobody home.
At 60, he sang with the same power he had at 27.
Baby, you turn to pay.
He reunited with Ragavoy and made an album called Rediscovered in 2003, his first in roughly 30 years, with a song written for him by Elvis Costello, who had been a fan the whole time.
Ain't nobody home.
He toured the world and recorded 4 more albums, and by most accounts got more attention in his second career than he ever got in his first.
To love you. Please, no one else.
11. Bettye LaVette.
My man
Let me tell you who this was before I tell you what was done to her.
People gon' talk, try to break up your home.
Bettye LaVette has one of the most physically committed voices in American music. Not pretty, not polite, total.
Things go wrong, I get sad and bluey. Take me in his arms.
Born Betty Jo Haskins in 1946. She made her first record at 16. My Man, He's a Lovin' Man, was a top 10 R&B hit in 1962 when she was a teenager.
Up your home, they'll try to tell you that you're the one that's wrong.
She should have gone straight up from there. She didn't. She spent the next decade in a cycle of false starts and broken label promises. Then in 1972, Atlantic sent her to Muscle Shoals to make her first full-length album. It was called Child of the 70s.
He lets them know that he's a one-woman man.
The lead single failed to chart. Atlantic's subsidiary Atco shelved the album, shelved on the eve of a promotional tour. Never released, she considered it her best work.
Just like I want him.
Understand what that means. Not a bad review, not weak sales. The record simply did not come out.
Man, he's a loving man.
The best thing she had ever done sat in a vault while she went to Broadway, cut a disco side, cut a Motown album in 1982, and kept working. Nearly 3 decades of near misses and singing for rent.
Things go wrong, I get sad and blue.
And I will say clearly what most people won't. A label is allowed to shelve a record. But a label that shelves a record and then does not let the artist take it elsewhere has not made a business decision. It has made a burial. In 2000, a French collector named Gilles Pitard licensed the unreleased masters and put them out in France under the title Souvenirs. 28 years late, from another country.
Always treats me right.
That opened the door. A 2003 live album, A Woman Like Me, won the W.C. Handy Award for Comeback Blues Album of the Year.
My man was smart, he wouldn't go for that. He said, come on, you better just let.
Then Anti Records signed her, and in 2005, with Joe Henry producing, she made I've Got My Own Hell to Raise. Critics put it on Best of the Year lists. She was 59.
Just like I want him to.
In December of 2008, she stood at the Kennedy Center Honors and sang The Who's Love Reign O'er Me to Pete Townsend and Roger Daltrey. It was widely called the highlight of the night.
Oh, not a man. Friends try to tell him not to.
A month later, she sang A Change Is Gonna Come with John Bon Jovi at the Lincoln Memorial for the Obama inaugural celebration.
People gon' talk, try to break up your home.
And here is the bittersweet part. Said better by a writer in 2009 than I could say it. No matter how far she climbs now, she will be known first for the comeback and second for the talent that should never have required one. The next man on this list didn't need someone to find a lost tape. He needed someone to call him. One phone call is what it took. Real talk. Only 9% of you are subscribed. That hurts. We're spending hours digging through archives, fact-checking every detail, bringing these stories back to life. And if you're watching this far, you clearly care. So hit subscribe. It's free and takes 2 seconds. Now, to my subscribers, barely any of you have joined the membership. And honestly, that stings even more. You know the work we put in. You keep coming back. If these videos have ever made you feel something, if this music means something to you, join the membership. It's $1 coffee a month, and it's the only way we keep this going. Let's build this together. All right, back to it. 10. Bobby Womack. Bobby Womack was a writer before he was a star, and that matters. The Rolling Stones' first UK #1 was his song. He was in the room for some of the most important soul music ever cut.
Oh, wait until night.
He was also, by any honest measure, a man who had absorbed more loss than a person should have to.
Like I wanna testify.
His father threw him out of the house when he moved from gospel to secular music. His infant son, Truth, died in 1976. He coped with cocaine, an addiction he wrote about openly.
No way you can sleep. Oh.
His son, Vincent, died by suicide in 1986, at 21. And by the 2000s, the fact that he was still alive at all struck people as remarkable, given the peers he had outlived and the health he had spent. His last album of new songs had come out in 1994. The industry had moved on, completely. Then in 2010, he toured as a guest vocalist with Gorillaz, and it nearly killed him. He told the BBC he had been having seizures and losing his sight on that tour, and didn't tell anyone, because it was a break and he wanted it. Pneumonia twice, collapsed lungs, everything died at one time. He said, "I've never been so sick in my life." Damon Albarn told him after the tour that they had to record together, that there was a lot of him that hadn't been touched. Womack didn't know who Gorillaz were when they first called. His daughter talked him into it. The Bravest Man in the Universe came out in June 2012, his first album of original material since 1994's Resurrection, produced by Albarn and XL's Richard Russell. He was diagnosed with colon cancer in March 2012, while hospitalized with pneumonia and treated with surgery. That November, at 68, he won Q Magazine's Best Album Award, beating out artists young enough to be his grandchildren. And what he said about touring it was this: he wanted to let people know what soul singing really was, because they deserved to hear it and not just read about it in a history book. He got 2 more years. He used them. 9. Solomon Burke.
Feel like crying. Don't you feel like
Solomon Burke was called the king of rock and soul, and it was not a marketing line. It was an accurate description of a man who could sing gospel, country, and deep soul with equal authority.
cry to me?
The Rolling Stones covered Cry to Me and Everybody Needs Somebody to Love. Tom Jones and Otis Redding both borrowed from the way he sang. He was foundational.
In the night.
And I want to be precise about that word too. Foundational means the building does not stand without him.
There's nothing but the smell of your perfume.
After the mid-1960s, he kept recording with steadily less success. His last record on the R&B chart came in 1978. 1978, then a quarter century of nothing chart-wise.
Don't you feel like crying?
He did not fall apart. That is the unusual part of this one. He turned to preaching, worked professionally as a mortician, and raised an enormous family.
Crying. Here I am, honey.
He stayed a popular draw on the blues festival and club circuit into the 21st century. But there is a difference between working and being taken seriously.
Almighty, cry. Cry.
He was a legacy act, a name on a poster. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inducted him in 2001, which is the industry's polite way of saying your work is finished and we appreciate it.
In your lonely room.
Then in 2002, he was coaxed back into a studio with songs written specifically for him by Bob Dylan, Brian Wilson, Elvis Costello, a who's who of people who had been waiting their whole careers to hand him something.
Leaves you all alone.
Dan Penn, Nick Lowe, and Tom Waits contributed too. Joe Henry produced. Don't Give Up on Me was recorded over 4 days in February 2002 and released that July.
Come on, cry to me.
It won the Grammy for Best Contemporary Blues Album, and listen to what the reviews actually said about the voice.
Come on, take my hand, baby, won't you walk with me?
At 66, no less powerful than in his glory days, with a depth of emotion and a gift for phrasing that had only grown.
And nobody.
That is what 24 years of chart silence cost us. Not his voice. The voice was fine. It cost us the records he could have been making the whole time.
Cry to me. Tell me, don't you feel like crying?
3 more of his albums were nominated in that same category before he died in 2010 at an airport in the Netherlands on his way to a show, working to the last day.
Crying.
8. The Isley Brothers. Ronald Isley has one of the most recognizable voices in American popular music, and by the late 1990s, the industry had filed him under history. The Isley Brothers had done everything. Shout, twist and shout, it's your thing. That lady. They employed a young Jimi Hendrix. By 1996, the group was Ronald, Marvin, and Ernie, and Marvin's diabetes forced him out the following year, a disease that later cost him both legs. And here is where the industry made its assumption. A group with a career stretching back to the 1950s does not get radio play in the 2000s. That is simply how it works. Legacy Acts Tour. They do not chart. Then came Eternal in August 2001, with Ronald's Mr. Big's alter ego at the center of it. The single Contagious went to number 19 pop and number 3 R&B, making the Isleys the first group to score a hit in 6 consecutive decades on the Hot 100. The album went double platinum. One critic wrote that the first week numbers surprised virtually everyone in the recording industry because no one of that generation of soul singers could expect that kind of commercial payday, not even Aretha. And then they went further. Body Kiss debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 for the chart dated May 17, 2003, their first chart-topping album since The Heat Is On in 1975. 28 years between number 1 albums. It topped the R&B albums chart for 2 straight weeks and was certified gold by the RIA that June. Ronald Isley was 61 years old. I want to be clear about what that means. This is not a heritage act selling tickets to people who remember them. This is a 61-year-old man competing for the top of the pop album chart against artists who were not born when he recorded It's Your Thing, and winning. If this name was in your house growing up, you already understand what I'm saying. You watched your parents' favorite singer become someone's favorite singer again, 40 years later, and you probably thought that was normal. It is not normal. It has almost never happened. 7. Etta James.
Lonely days are over.
Before At Last became a wedding standard, before it became shorthand for romance, it was sung by a woman whose life was harder than almost anyone's on this list. Etta James recorded for Chess and its subsidiaries into the late 70s. All I could do was cry, my dearest darling, trust in me. Tell Mama in 1968 cut at Fame in Muscle Shoals with Rick Hall, gritty, raw, and enormously influential. And she began experimenting with drugs as a teenager. By her own account, she fell back into addiction after becoming involved with a man who had a habit and went back to playing whatever club dates she could get. That is the whole 80s, essentially, gone.
To press my cheek to.
7 years without a major recording contract. Think about what that number means for a singer of that caliber. Not 7 years without a hit. 7 years where no company in the business would put her name on a piece of paper. And I will say clearly what most people won't. The industry is very comfortable letting a black woman with an addiction disappear and very comfortable selling her back catalog while she does. She got clean with a stay at the Betty Ford Center in 1988. That same year, she signed with Island Records and cut 7-Year Itch, produced by Barry Beckett of the Muscle Shoals Rhythm Section. The title was The Point, 7 years without a contract. And then it kept going, Stickin' to My Guns in 1990, The Right Time in 1992. Induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1993, and in 1994, on Private Music, Mystery Lady, Songs of Billie Holiday, a tribute to the singer she had always named as her key influence.
For you are mine.
That album earned Etta James her first Grammy Award, her first, at 56 years old, roughly 40 years after The Wallflower.
I found a thrill.
She went on to win Best Contemporary Blues Album for Let's Roll and Best Traditional Blues Album for Blues to the Bone, and received the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award in 2003.
In clover.
Almost all of it came after the world had already decided she was finished.
And life is life.
6. Barry White. Barry White was a producer, an arranger, and a conductor before he was a voice. People forget that. He built the orchestra behind the sound before he ever stepped in front of it. In the mid-70s, he was one of the biggest artists in the world, the Love Unlimited Orchestra. Can't Get Enough of My Love, Babe, a voice so distinctive it became a cultural shorthand, which is its own kind of trap, because shorthand becomes punchline. And then disco died, and Barry White died with it in the eyes of the business. By the 80s, he was a joke reference on television, a voice people imitated, not an artist people signed. He had not placed an album high on the pop chart since 1977. He had not had a hit that size in the States in 17 years. 17 years is not a slump. 17 years is a verdict. Here is what he did about it. He did not chase the trend. He read where R&B was going and co-wrote with the producers who were taking it there. Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis on one track, Gerald Levert on another. He brought his own sound to a new architecture instead of abandoning it. The Icon Is Love was released on October 4th, 1994. By the chart dated November 26, it was the #1 R&B album in the country. Practice What You Preach spent 3 weeks at #1 on the R&B chart, reached number 18 on the Hot 100, went gold, and won the Soul Train Music Award for Best R&B Soul Song of the Year.
What can I say? What am I gonna do?
The album was his 7th to top the R&B chart, reached number 20 pop, his highest there since 1977, and won the 1995 Soul Train Award for Best R&B Soul Album, Male.
Oh, my darling,
In 1996, it was nominated for the Grammy for Best R&B Album. It went double platinum. He was 50 years old. And the record that did it was not a nostalgia record. It was a current record, made by a man everyone had stopped considering current. That is the thing about being reduced to a voice. People stop believing there is a musician attached to it. He was as astute about where R&B was heading in 1994 as he had been in 1973. The industry just wasn't asking him anymore. 5. Teddy Pendergrass.
Girl, it's me and I.
Teddy Pendergrass was a drummer first. He taught himself, joined Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes in 1969, and ended up in front of the microphone almost by accident. Then he went solo and delivered 5 straight platinum studio albums between 1977 and 1981 for Philadelphia International, with 8 top 10 R&B singles of his own, including Close the Door, Turn Off the Lights, and Love TKO. He was, at that moment, the most commanding male voice in soul music. Women-only concerts. Sold out. He was 31 years old. In 1982, a car accident left him paralyzed from the waist down. His recording future appeared to be in doubt. That is the polite phrasing. Here is the direct one. He completed his old contract with Philadelphia International through 2 collections of previously recorded material, and then he could not find anyone to sign him.
No need to worry no more.
The struggle to find a deal happened at the same time as physical therapy, and the therapy was what let him rebuild enough strength in his chest to deliver a vocal almost as powerfully as before.
Plenty good loving all through the night. And then again.
Read that again. He was doing the work to be able to sing while the business was deciding he couldn't. His doctors had predicted he would live 10 years after the accident. Asylum signed him. Love Language came out in 1984 and went gold within 5 months, carried by Hold Me, a top 10 R&B duet with a then unknown Whitney Houston. And on July 13, 1985, he rolled out onto the stage at Live Aid in Philadelphia, his hometown, in front of more than 99,000 people and an estimated 1.5 billion watching on television.
I've waited all day long.
It was his first live performance since the accident. He was so nervous he almost didn't go through with it. When he came out during Ashford and Simpson's set, the ovation seemed to go on forever. He thanked the audience for keeping him in their thoughts and sang "Reach Out and Touch" somebody's hand.
Make me feel so good.
3 years later, Joy went to #1 R&B for 2 weeks. It Should Have Been You topped the chart again in 1991. A reviewer described the Joy record as a slower, more somber Pendergrass, Weary but not beaten. That is exactly right, and it is worth more than the swagger ever was. He lived until 2010 and spent much of his later life running an alliance he founded for people with spinal cord injuries. He outlived that 10-year prediction by nearly 18 years. Four, Curtis Mayfield. Curtis Mayfield was a moral writer. That is the simplest way I can say it. He wrote about race, class, and justice while writing music you could dance to, and he almost never got the balance wrong. The Impressions, People Get Ready, Superfly. A guitar style built on an unusual open tuning that Hendrix studied closely enough that you can hear it in Little Wing. By the late 80s, he had settled into life as a legacy artist, still writing, still recording, still touring behind a new album. On August 13, 1990, at Wingate Field in Brooklyn, a storm gust, reported as high as 54 miles an hour, brought a lighting truss down. One of the lights struck him in the back of the neck. It shattered the third, fourth, and fifth vertebrae in his spine. He lay on the stage, drifting in and out of consciousness as the rain came down. He would be paralyzed from the neck down for the rest of his life. A bandmate's bass drum caught the truss and saved him. Here is what he said about it later. He didn't remember falling. He came to on his back and discovered that his hands and arms were not where he thought they were, and he could not move. Then it began to rain, and he could hear people screaming. He never played guitar again. He composed from his bed. This is the story I mentioned at number 10. And now that you have the full picture, you understand why I said what I said. New World Order was written, recorded, and released after the accident. His vocals were recorded line by line while he was lying on his back, line by line, breathless, stopping to catch his breath between phrases. That is how a paralyzed man made an album. It came out on September 20th, 1996, to acclaim and received 3 Grammy nominations, including Best R&B Album. AllMusic called it a touching, moving comeback. Rolling Stone called it a triumphant return. Some of you just got quiet. That's the right response. In February 1998, his right leg was amputated due to diabetes complications. He died on December 26, 1999, at 57.
All you need is God in your heart. All you need is God in your heart.
And I want to be precise about the injustice here, because it is not the accident. Accidents are not injustices, they are tragedies.
Oh, yeah.
The injustice is that a man in that condition had to prove he was still an artist. He did prove it. He should not have had to.
Then you can look up toward heaven and just...
The next 3 names are the ones everybody thinks they know. They are also the 3 where the drop was steepest before the rise.
People get ready. There's a train for
3. Aretha Franklin. It sounds absurd to put the Queen of Soul on a list of people who were written off. Hold that reaction. The record is the record.
Guess what?
Her last top 10 pop hit had been Until You Come Back to Me, number 3 in 1973. After more than a decade of extraordinary work at Atlantic, her career had settled into what the business calls the legacy phase. A string of chart failures ended her relationship with Atlantic in 1979. That same year, her father was left in a coma after a burglary attempt at his home, and she was carrying a massive bill from the IRS. Career, father, finances, all at once in a single year. And I need you to hold this for a moment, because it is the part people skip. Aretha Franklin, that Aretha Franklin, was, at the turn of the 80s, an artist without a label. A cameo in the Blues Brothers in 1980, performing Think, put her in front of a new generation. She invited Clive Davis to dinner at her Los Angeles home that year to talk about joining Arista. In 1982, Jump to It, written and produced by Luther Vandross, gave her the biggest hit she'd had in 8 years. Then, in 1984, her father died. Who's Zoomin' Who was released on July 9, 1985. Freeway of Love held number 1 on the R&B chart for 5 consecutive weeks and won her the Grammy for Best Female R&B Vocal Performance. It was her biggest hit in a decade, reaching number 3 on the Hot 100. The title track followed it into the top 10. It was the first time she'd had 2 top 10 singles from one album since 1972. The album went platinum before the year ended. And journalists at the time compared it directly to what Tina Turner had just done with Private Dancer. In 1987, she became the first woman inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Some of you are going to look up the 1979 to 1980 stretch after this ends. Good. That is exactly the point. Because the lesson is not that Aretha Franklin was great. Everyone knows that. The lesson is that greatness does not protect you. It did not protect her. If the business could write off the Queen of Soul, understand clearly what it will do to everyone else. 2. Tina Turner. Tina Turner in 1976 was a woman starting over from nothing at 36 years old, in an industry that had no interest in women starting over at 36. She played cabaret rooms in Las Vegas. Her albums Rough in 1978 and Love Explosion in 1979 both flopped. That is the actual sequence. Not a slow decline. 2 commercial failures and a residency circuit. What changed it was other musicians. Rod Stewart was struck by her rock and blues direction and hired her to open his U.S. tour in 1981. Then she supported the Rolling Stones. In 1982, she appeared on a British Electric Foundation cover of Ball of Confusion. Capitol signed her the following year. Let's Stay Together charted worldwide and rebooted the entire thing. But the follow-up, a ballad reading of the Beatles' Help, was frozen out of the top 40 in the winter of 1984. There's a name for it. It took persistence from everyone involved to get a 3rd single released at all. That 3rd single was What's Love Got to Do With It? It had been turned down by Cliff Richard and by Donna Summer before it reached her. She was seen by much of the industry as a decade past her prime, and she put the heartache of her actual life into every line of it.
What's love got to do with it?
It went to number 1 on the Hot 100. At 44, she became the oldest solo female artist ever to top that chart. That record stood until 1999, when Cher broke it at 53. The single sold more than 2 million copies worldwide and was the second biggest single of 1984 in the United States. Private Dancer sold in the millions, over 10 million by some estimates, and brought her 4 Grammy Awards, including Record of the Year. It spent 147 weeks on the UK album chart and 81 weeks in the States. And whether the industry consciously decided a 44-year-old black woman couldn't be a pop star, or just never bothered to ask the question, I think you already know the answer. Because when it finally happened, they had to write a new sentence in the record books to describe it. That sentence had never been needed before.
Who needs a heart when a heart can be broken?
That is not a woman who got lucky. That is a woman who was right the whole time and had to wait 8 years for the business to catch up.
There's a name for it.
1. Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye at the end of the 70s was not a star in decline. He was a man in collapse. And I want to be careful and exact about what that means. A crippling freebase cocaine addiction, more than $4 million owed to the IRS in back taxes, ongoing lawsuits from 2 divorces, and an unresolvable conflict with Motown over creative control. He filed for voluntary bankruptcy. He lost his equipment. He left the continental United States, first living in a bread truck in Hawaii, then London. He was in London trying to finish his last Motown record, In Our Lifetime, when a member of his band leaked the tapes to the label's Los Angeles offices. Motown edited the album and released it in January 1981 without his consent. His words, he was heartbroken, deeply hurt, and Motown had gone behind his back, something he said he would never forgive or forget. He asked Berry Gordy to end the contract, closing a 20-year association. You know this song. It has been part of your life for a long time. You have heard it at weddings, in films, on the radio for 40 years. But knowing the song and knowing what it cost to make it are 2 different kinds of knowing. Let me give you the second one. In February 1981, on the advice of a Belgian promoter named Freddie Coussert, Gaye moved to Ostend, Belgium, seeking relief from paranoia, depression, and psychotic episodes. He ran a month-long English tour in June 1981 to have money to live on. By the time he returned to Ostend in July, his confidence had come back. 2 musicians from his touring band stayed with him there, and they started writing. He settled with Motown in March 1982 and signed a 3-album deal with Columbia that same month. And when the label executive flew to Belgium to find out why there was no album, it was David Ritz who handed him a demo tape of a song the 3 of them had been working on. Sexual Healing was released on October 9, 1982, recorded at Studio Katie in Ohain, Belgium. It reached number 3 on the Hot 100 and spent 10 weeks at number 1 on the R&B chart. Midnight Love went double platinum and topped the R&B album chart. At the 1983 Grammys, it won him 2 awards: Best Male R&B Vocal Performance and Best R&B Instrumental Performance. It was his first Grammy win, after 10 previous nominations. 10 nominations. What's going on? Let's get it on. I heard it through the grapevine. Nothing. And the first one finally comes for a record he made while broke, exiled, and rebuilding his mind on a beach in Belgium. David Ritz said the irony was that Marvin never got the healing he sang about. He toured America in 1983, partly because he was still in debt. He was dead in April of 1984, one day before his 45th birthday. That is the whole story. The industry wrote him off. He came back and made one of the biggest records of his life, and he did not get to live in the world it built.